Now to journalist Antony Loewenstein. He joins us from Sydney. Antony, this incident is the most serious violence between Israel and Syria in years, and it points to likely Iranian involvement, though no one has claimed responsibility. Do you think that Iran is the most likely culprit here?
Look, it's impossible to say, so I wouldn't want to speculate, but I think the context for this is really important, and that is very simply that Israel has been having a both official and unofficial war with Syria and Iran for years. It's not a conventional sense. They're not trying to destroy each other's country or send armies into each other's country. But what you're seeing, I think, here is just the latest example of what, from what I understand, kind of a mistaken Syrian missile that fell into Israeli territory. And Dimona is I guess you'd say, the worst kept secret in the world, which essentially has roughly 200 Israeli nuclear weapons, which are all illegal under international law. And Israel has been striking Syria regularly, mostly Iranian forces within Syria, but also some Syrian forces. And of course, Israel's also been attacking Iran itself, either the recent attack on a nuclear facility at Natanz or killing many Iranian nuclear scientists over the last year. So this is just the latest example, which clearly could escalate in a very dangerous way. But the fact is, most of the countries involved, Israel, Iran, Syria, don't want it to escalate, meaning no one's looking for an all-out war. And the truth is that when this sort of coverage happens, it takes away one of the big issues in the Middle East, of course, which is the ongoing 50-plus year occupation of Palestinian territory by Israel. So this is obviously a worrying development, but the truth is this has been going on in different forms for years.
Yeah, you talk about the risk of escalation. What could we likely see in terms of a response to try to diffuse potential for a further escalation? And here, some international pressure potentially.
I wish I could say yes, but the truth is what we've seen for years, whether it's the Trump administration or now with President Joe Biden, Israel can pretty much do what it wants. It has carte blanche, meaning that it can attack Iran and Syria without any consequences. And the truth is that Iran and Syria are not likely to start firing missiles into Israel tomorrow, because if they do, they'll face overwhelming force in response from Israel. So, I mean, obviously, a lot of the worrying issues around this is the potential of another war between Israel and Hezbollah, who are, of course, mostly based in Lebanon. Obviously, Hezbollah is principally supported by Iran. That's one of the most concerning areas of any kind of escalation. But at the moment, there's no real indication that'll happen, because Lebanon itself, of course, is on its knees, and Hezbollah itself is trying to deal and manage with that economic collapse. So it's hard to see that really escalating now. But I think the problem with this sort of situation is that at some point in the future it could. And in a region like this, where there's no real brakes on, Israel essentially can do what it wants. It occupies Palestinian land. It essentially can attack any neighbours at any kind of consequence. I worry that at some point this will escalate to the point of no return. But we're not at that point now, thankfully.
All right, Antony Loewenstein in Sydney, thank you.